I know plenty of people went to go see the mega fight of the decade, Pacquiao versus Mayweather, and it was a dud. Very sluggish, to say the least. Thoughts, reactions on the fight, and what's to do now about boxing?
I mean, boxing is on life support. We've mentioned it time and time again on this show. And if there is one event, one mega event that could bring boxing out of the background and into the foreground, even though it's, everyone likes to say 5 years too late, it would be Mayweather, Pacquiao. It was lackluster. There's a lot of hugging. Looked like a prom.
A prom.
And for those who don't watch a lot of boxing, you thought, oh, this is kind of cool. Once you saw the final stat, it all stuck out how one-sided this fight was. Pac-Man, 81 out of 429 punches. Ladies and gentlemen, that's 19%. He connected on 19% of his punches. And Floyd, doing what he does, defensive specialist, lands 148 out of 435 punches, so 34%, and still doing the thing.
48-0.
You know what, though? I'm not even surprised about the fight because Mayweather never fights as flamboyant as the lifestyle as he lives. So people come look at his Instagram now, and they're like, oh, you know, he has never been a knockout fighter, really. That's not his area.
Yeah, you know, his
technique.
His area of specialties is, like you said, Capetra, is his his defensive prowess and eluding those punches from everybody. As Ty pointed out, he eluded over 80% of those punches from Pacquiao. But now there's recent reports saying that Pacquiao was playing with a messed up shoulder. I don't know how many people believe that.
Nah.
Had to have surgery on his rotator cuff and is out 9 to 12 months. Thoughts, reactions about that?
You know what?
You get
He looked fine to me. He looked fine. Hey,
as Pacquiao said, I thought I won. So
he had him on the ropes a bunch of times, and he was the first. If you got a bad shoulder, that's not happening. That's an excuse. If that is the case, there should have been some paperwork, so we should have known about this prior to. There was nothing signed before the fight, so we don't believe you. You need more people.
He weighed in like he was healthy.
Yeah, and you know, and the thing about it is now he's facing a class action lawsuit because a lot of bettors out there in Nevada are very, very, very upset about Pacquiao.
Can they do that?
Yes, they can, for not detailing that information that he had a bum shoulder, unfair fight advantage.
Excuse.
Can sway the betting perception. But have you ever seen a fighter like Floyd or an athlete like Floyd hated so much by people, though? Who, Ty?
A lot of people don't like Tony Romo and like Tony Romo,
but not to the extent.
Not to this Floyd. Extent. And you mentioned everyone in Nevada who wants to place that class action suit. I believe Floyd is from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Vegas is like his home away from home, and that whole arena was booing the mess out of him.
They were.
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, you have someone that's chasing Rocky Marciano's record of 49-0, but he's getting booed at his second home state. I can't imagine another athlete that's so dominant that gets booed and hated so much. Now, you know, there's
it's like a love-hate relationship.
There's outside circumstances that we'll touch on in a few minutes that a lot of people dislike Floyd, but it just seems that every time he goes up to stage, the more times they hate him, it's kind of like how Barry Bonds was. That's who, you know, how Barry Bonds was. The more home runs he hit, the louder the boos came. And he just kept on knocking out home runs.
I know, and it's always so confusing because these people are still paying to come see him.
Exactly.
Maybe they're paying. Maybe they think they're paying to come be like the witness to his first loss, but that's stupid.
Yeah, that's not.
It's a waste of money.
Word on the street was that you was betting on Pacquiao. I wish I would have known about that. I would have been easily taking donations from that.
I don't know who your sources are. That is not. I learned from my last bet. One thing's for sure, you guys see Pac-Man smiling like throughout the whole thing? I think the only thing he was comprehending was, I'm about to get paid one way.
I was thinking he had the look of like, I'm just happy to be here. Yeah, like he was just happy to be in the arena, to be on the ballot.
And
like,
that's not that's not Pacquiao. Pacquiao was someone that you thought could give Floyd maybe a run for his money. No, maybe, but
I mean, on the untrained eye, it didn't seem like he just laid down. He was there.
True too as well.
Until the final stats showed up, it was hard to see. But
yeah,
hey, when you're 48 and go chasing 4-9-0, what more is there to expect out of Floyd? He has the formula. When you have the formula, don't change it.
Exactly.
Duck and weave, get your tap in.
His dad was feeling like he wasn't aggressive enough. Towards the middle rounds, he was like, kind of like, what are you going to do? And
truth be told, I fell asleep rounds 3 through 12, and I saw it on HBO and Showtime again, and I still didn't miss too much. I knew that Floyd was going to win this, but now Floyd, there's been a lot of things coming out in the media about his domestic disputes and his domestic violence in the past, even to the point where he was able to get some of his critics' media ban denied to come into the stadium for a little bit. Michelle Beadle and also Rachel Nichols, that's been very critical of his domestic violence issues. What do you say? What do you think about that, Capetra? You being the female on the show and everything.
Honestly, I'm curious as to why we as a society are so quick to overlook Floyd's domestic violence history, because it's not like he had one isolated incident. Ray Rice had the one incident that everyone knew about. Floyd has had 6 charges against him in the realm of domestic violence, and he is the one that's still out that they're going to court for sometime this year. So I'm curious why we just kind of brush it under the rug and no one's really making a fuss about it. Is it because he's the only one bringing like real money and attention into the realm of boxing?
Yes.
Is that what you think, Ty?
That's what it boils down to, especially when you bring in the fact that it's boxing and that it's on life support. It is dying. He is the face of boxing right now. He's really all they have.
So we're just kind of like
tough.
Closing our eyes to it.
We sweep a lot of things that other athletes do under the table. This is one of the premier athletes, the best pound for pound fighter, in the ring. So when you bring in that kind of money and your record speaks for yourself, regardless of who hates you.
I appreciated that this go round he didn't have 5 girlfriends sitting ringside. He had his kids sitting ringside. Maybe he's starting to care.
His concubines? Maybe they had to pay their way to get in, just like everybody else. Now that would be a Floyd Mayweather type of move.
It really would.